This is a presentation of the University of Wisconsin Parkside.
The only air pollution source larger than those coal plants is the pollution from fossil fuel vehicles. The same year, renewable energy sources made up only 5.3% of our Midwest electricity. I'm talking about wind, solar, bio, hydro, and similar sources of power. Most renewables have existed over 30 years, but they have all been improved to viable selections of sources that we have today. It's no longer a question of how, but when are we going to switch over to renewable energy? The IPCC Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, climate scientists and conversation say we should switch as soon as possible. But the coal industry and some Republicans say the EPA is once again overstepping its boundaries. Fortunately for citizens, the future is here. Legislation enacted in the 2000s decade to call upon states to set renewable energy standards for themselves. Wisconsin chose to fulfill a standard of 10% by 2015. What this means is that by 2015, 10% of all electricity in Wisconsin must come from renewable energy sources. According to the Union of Concerned Scientists, not only is this possible, but we could achieve higher standard of 30% by 2030. The UCS points to one possible future while surpassing the 30% mark by using mainly wind and biomass. And that is their conservative estimate. It is significant breakthroughs in biomass are achieved. There could be as much as twice the use of biomass in the mix. With wind projects going up in every Midwestern state, U.S. solar panels sales doubling in the past year, and coal plants converting to coal fire with biomass, it's easy to see the switch has begun. The Republicans want Wisconsin to be left behind because that's what will happen if we don't get on the move with the change. I don't believe that's what they meant, but it's hard to know for sure when I see bills like this. Like last year's AB 146, which was meant to remove the restrictions that credits may not be used by the industry beyond 4 years, make it out of the committee and are actually discussed, while bills like SB 519, which set only guidelines of 30% by 2015, don't even make it out of the committee. I believe we need bills like SB 519 and organizations like UCS and EPA in order to encourage the energy industry to continue on the right path towards renewable energy. If you do not wish to go on my opinion alone, check out the UCSUSA.org on the website and see for yourself what the future holds. Wind turbine setbacks. The location of wind turbine has been a controversial issue across the state of Wisconsin. Critics of the industry contend that energy generators hurt property values and can lead to health problems. Wind energy advocates have argued that millions of dollars worth of economic and development and hundreds of potential jobs have been put on hold since Governor Scott Walker introduced a bill in January 2011 that dramatically increased how far wind turbines must be set back from the nearest property lines and residences. The original sightings rules proposed by the Public Service Commission were debated for nearly 2 years before a bipartisan group of lawmakers that approved them in December 2010. The regulations PSC 128 were set to take effect in March 2011 and called for wind turbines to be set back from the nearest property line by 1.1 times the height of their turbine. They also required turbines to be no closer than 1,250 feet from the nearest resident. But Walker, who received significant backing from wind farm folks in 2010, introduced a bill in January 2011 to push the setback from the property line to 1,800 feet, or more than a third of a mile. This resulted in the wind turbine industry to be put on hold in the state, and while legislators continue to argue over new wind siting rules. A total of 5 construction projects The wind farms have been suspended or canceled as a result of the ongoing stalemate, costing the state about $1.6 billion in economic development and almost 1,000 temporary full-time jobs. Although Walker's legislation didn't go anywhere, the legislators' Rules Committee decided to suspend the Public Service Commission citing rules last March. Over the past year, the PCS has worked with the wind energy supporters and critics in an attempt to work out a compromise solution, but none was possible. In March 2012, a Republican senator broke ranks and sided with the Democrats to defeat the governor's controversial bill, and the Public Service Commission Regulations PSC 128 was finally adopted into law. However, it is unclear whether the wind turbine construction firms are willing to step up and pursue the projects that were slated for production prior to the lawmakers' debate. The creation of the electrical grid has been called the greatest engineering achievement in the last century by the National Academy of Engineering. Currently, there are grids on 6 different continents. Since the birth of the grid in 1881, it took decades for its use to expand from factories and millionaires' homes to middle-class citizens. Today, grid powers our lives. From the morning news on your television to the computer at your work desk, the grid rules it all. This technology has lighted our world for generations, it has become antiquated technology. This became clear in 2003 when a series of failures diverted electricity into other lines, overloading them and causing them to fail. This caused major blackouts for almost a day and a half. The failure cost the government $6 billion. This event caused the federal government to begin investing in smarter grid technology. The economic stimulus package gave $4.5 billion to smart grid projects. Smarter grid technology would prevent blackouts. Today, power companies have no idea if you have lost power in your home until you notify them. A smarter grid would give feedback on the status of the grid, which would allow operators to prevent future failures. Another part would better control supply and demand. The current grid allows companies to control the supply of electricity, but there is no control over the demand. Demand management saves energy. Consumers use electricity without understanding the cost of their usage. Installation of new meters, smarter meters, would transmit data through fiber optic cable to the power company. The new meters would allow consumers to see the price of electricity, which would help them to determine when it would be cheaper to consume it. A problem with the smarter grid is the new cost. Newer meters with the new software chip that would allow data feedback may cost up to 5 times as much as the old meters do. This may cause power companies to raise the prices of their rates, much like Boulder, Colorado, where Xcel Energy is testing out smarter grid technology. This is an issue that causes power companies to hesitate. The goal is for them to make a profit for keeping the lights on across the nation, not to lose money. Nonetheless, it is clear we need to develop a newer and safer grid, one that will allow us to move forward in the new century.